Well, the year of 2015 has come to a close, and I've got to say, if there was ever a year for movie nostalgia, this was it. We had franchise reboots left, right and centre, Terminator, Jurassic Park, Mad Max, Star Wars, but we also had more than that. We also had Marty McFly memes for an entire year. Let's kick things off with a recent trailer roundup. Before we begin this, I'd just like to say, if anyone is watching who edited a trailer from 2015, go stand in the corner and think about what you've done. I'm gonna get straight to it. I'm concerned about Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Not just because of the length of its name. I really want this movie to be good, but I can't escape the feeling there are just too many characters in here. It also does seem a lot like this is two different movies meshed into one. You've got Batman v Superman and you've also got Dawn of Justice. It feels like they want to make two movies, but they also want to get their DC universe going so fast that they've merged the two together. Perhaps I am wrong. I really hope I am wrong. I really want this movie to be good, because the characters from DC have so much potential for great movies, and yet I fear we'll be met with another mediocre entry just like Man of Steel. And from Batman v Superman to Discount Batman versus Discount Superman. This film looks really good. Looks like it's got good action, good emotion. It's got all your favourite Marvel characters and Rhodey. I'm also really excited to see Black Panther in this movie, but not as excited as I am for X-Men Apocalypse. Being a big fan of the X-Men movies, this is very exciting to me. From the trailer, Apocalypse looks like he's going to be a great villain, and Oscar Isaac is a really good actor, so I'm sure he'll be great in this. I'm really looking forward to seeing the return of Quicksilver and Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is my personal favourite of the X-Men, and in this movie he appears to be going through his emo stage. But hey, as long as he doesn't do this, I'm okay with that. I'm not entirely convinced by Sophie Turner's American accent, and I'm not sure whether this will be as good as First Class or Days of Future Past or X2, but in any case, I am looking forward to it. On Christmas Day, we all had the gift of a Deadpool trailer bestowed upon us. Won't be Christmas without the guy in the red suit. Now let me say, this trailer is speaking my language, and I don't just mean it's English. I like that there wasn't too much new information given here, because I don't want to know too much about this movie before going in. I want to be surprised by it. What we did get to see was a bit more action, more jokes, more improvised lines by Ryan Reynolds, and generally more Deadpool. Who can complain about more Deadpool? And now it's the part you've all been waiting for. The end of this year saw the release of one of the most anticipated films of, if not the decade, then the century. And that film is Sisters, starring Tina Fey. Obviously that was a joke, I am of course talking about Star Wars. Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Let me tell you something. Star Wars has been sleeping since 1983. It had a fever dream between 1999 and 2005, but it was still sleeping. But now, in 2015, it has awoken. So here's how I'm going to do this review. First I'm going to do non-spoilers, then I'll give you a spoiler warning, and I'll do spoilers. This film recaptures all the feeling of the original trilogy. Rey and Finn, the main characters, are really cool, and the actors have great chemistry together. Also great is Poe Dameron. He was definitely my favourite character. He was just the most likeable guy. BB-8 is also really fantastic. He was a welcome present. He was cute. He was adorable. He was funny. Villain talk now. We have Kylo Ren, leader of the Knights of Ren, owner of a sweet-ass lightsaber. This guy is a cool villain. He's not just a repackaged version of Darth Vader. He actually has a more human side to him. There's a conflict within him that you get to see throughout the movie, and I really liked his character. Also, I finally decided that I'm on board with the lightsaber crossguard. So to sum up, this film is definitely worth seeing. If you haven't seen it yet, then just stop watching this and go and see it. Then come back and finish watching this. It wasn't a perfect movie, it was no Empire Strikes Back, but it was not at all a letdown. Star Wars fans, you are safe. Star Wars is back, and it's turned to the light side once more. Okay, the spoiler talk is now. There's an annotation where you can skip past the spoilers to watch the rest of this video. If you haven't seen Star Wars yet, skip this segment. Now I have mentioned this film wasn't perfect, and that is because one of its strongest points is also one of its weakest. This film is very reminiscent of the original trilogy, especially A New Hope. In fact, this film is basically A New Hope. A lot of the story beats are the same, like exactly the same. In addition, I was very disappointed with the role of Captain Phasma, who was built up in the marketing to be kind of a badass, but was actually little more than a cameo. Though it's insinuated that Hound Finn left her in the trash compactor, I really hope she escaped that somehow and makes it into the next movie, because her character has potential, and now she has a personal reason to dislike Finn, which would bring up some cool conflict in the other two movies. Speaking of Finn, his escape from the First Order with Poe was a brilliant scene. You get a sense of trust, a sense of brotherhood, and a sense of humour. I also love how completely unsmooth their escape is. Also, did I mention how cool Poe is? I think I did, but it's worth mentioning again. He's just a really cool guy. He even let Finn keep his jacket. What a lovely gesture. A less lovely gesture is the one that Kylo Ren made at the end of the movie. So Kylo Ren is in fact Ben Solo, Han and Leia's son, who was training with Luke at the Jedi Academy but then turned to the dark side, and he began idolising his grandfather, Darth Vader. Throughout the film we see Ben struggle with many issues, one of which being how he's going to fix his computer after he was raged out on it with that lightsaber after receiving some bad news. He speaks of feeling the pull of the light side, so he's clearly not entirely set down the path of evil, but then he is confronted by his father, Han Solo. I think it's safe to say he is now just evil because he straight up murdered Han. Han Solo is dead. In reality, it's not that surprising considering Harrison Ford has wanted Han Solo to be dead since The Empire Strikes Back, but it was still a very emotionally impactful scene. Rey and Finn and Chewie were all there to witness it, so now all three of them have a very personal reason to hate Kylo Ren, as well as the fact that they're just fighting for the good side. The Force was strong with this film, and I can't wait for Episode 8, as well as Rogue One, the first spin-off Star Wars movie. I also hope that in Episode 8 we get more of Poe. Did I mention I really like Poe? I also really like TV shows, and a show I really liked earlier this year was Sense8, a Netflix original about 8 people who are telepathically and empathetically connected to each other. They can share each other's various strengths, languages, anything. I thought it was very reminiscent of Heroes, which is one of my favourite shows ever, and it had some of the best character development I've seen in any show ever. Also on Netflix this year were Daredevil and Jessica Jones making their way into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Although the Netflix shows show a much darker side to the Marvel Cinematic Universe than the films do, and in my opinion, much darker, much better. I still maintain that Daredevil is my favourite thing to come out of the MCU so far, and I also think that Jessica Jones had the best villain in the entirety of the MCU in Killgrave. Better than Ultron, better than Loki, better than Malekith. You remember Malekith, the guy from Thor the Dark World. He's the guy who wanted to cover the world in darkness. That was his whole plan. Just darkness. Just one big power cut. One of my most anticipated shows of the year this year was the 5th season of Game of Thrones. It had an okay start, then it went off the rails. It's unfortunate but true. When you compare season 5 to the 4 seasons before it, it just does not hold up. The writing is sloppier, a lot sloppier, the character development is backwards, and that is a real shame because I love Game of Thrones. It's one of my favourite shows and I was really looking forward to this season, which in the end let me down. But speaking of letdowns, I intended to watch The Flash, Heroes Reborn and the new series of Doctor Who before I made this. However, I couldn't find the time, so I cannot review those shows as I haven't seen them. I did see a few episodes of Doctor Who here and there. Some I really liked, some I really didn't. As for The Flash and Heroes Reborn, those are some of my most anticipated shows also, so I can tell you that I will watch them at some point, but I cannot review them now for you. What I will do is I'll tell you my 2015 Novelty Awards. The biggest disappointment of the year award. Last year this went to the In-Betweeners movie 2. This year it sadly has to go to Game of Thrones season 5. It wasn't the worst thing from the year, but it was the most disappointing because of how much I was looking forward to it. The worst thing of the year was probably Mordecai. Now for the most useless character award of the year. This is undoubtedly Daniel from San Andreas. If you don't remember or if you haven't seen San Andreas, he's a guy who's played by the same guy who played Reed Richards in the original Fantastic Four movies, and he's just useless. If there was ever a character that could have been killed off at the start of a movie, this was the guy. Or better yet, not in the script at all. He adds nothing to the story of San Andreas. Throughout the movie we keep cutting back to this guy running through the earthquake trying to survive, and we just don't care about him. I have literally never seen a more useless character in a movie. And now, the award for the most unnecessarily long movie title of the year that has just passed award. This year's longest movie title was Star Wars Episode 8 The Force Awakens. However, that is nothing compared to last year when you had X-Men Days of Future Past and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, or next year when we have Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and Rogue One A Star Wars Story. Hollywood, if you're watching, hi. And also, not every movie needs to have a long title. Well, with those Novelty Awards wrapped up, I think it's safe to say that it is time for my top 10 movies of the year. Top 10 films of 2015, here we go. This was my most anticipated movie of the year. There was no way this was ever going to be off the top 10 list unless it was truly awful. This film wasn't as good as Jurassic Park, There are quite a lot of problems with the film, but I still really enjoyed it. Coming in at number 9 is The Avengers Age of Ultron. Unpopular opinion, I actually preferred this movie to the first Avengers. I won't go into details of why now, but I just enjoyed it more. It's not Marvel's best movie, not by a long stretch, no, but it's still a fun time and I enjoyed myself. Number 8, Inside Out. This was an absolutely fantastic film. It was the standard you expect of Pixar. It was a very cleverly told story with emotion and heart, and there was lots of great humour. I saw this movie again a few weeks ago, thought it was even better the second time. Just generally a great movie. Coming in at number 7 is Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. This was another great movie. It's not as good as Ghost Protocol, but it's probably my second favourite of the Mission Impossible movies. Number 6, fittingly, is Big Hero 6. I love this movie. I love Baymax, I love Hero, I love their relationship. It was just a really cool, fun movie. Number 5, Ant-Man. This is actually one of my favourite Marvel movies. I thought it was very funny, I thought it was very cool, I thought it was more unique than the other Marvel movies. I had a great time watching Ant-Man. Number 4 is Mad Max Fury Road. It's safe to say this was one of the big hits of the year, with both the general public and with me. I went into this movie knowing basically nothing about Mad Max, and I came out of this movie saying, Mad Max is really cool. The use of practical effects and the action and the acting in it was just really, really great. Number 3 is The Martian. This was an absolutely brilliant movie. Matt Damon killed it. It was heartfelt, it was emotional, one of the best movies of the year. Now we come to the final two. I had a bit of trouble placing these two because I like them both so much, but I decided that for one of them, which I'm going to put for second place, I'm still riding the hype train from that. There's not been enough time for me to let that settle in and let me really judge it once getting off the hype train. So my number 2 movie of the year is Star Wars The Force Awakens. I've already given you a review on that film, so you know exactly what I thought of it. I absolutely loved it, and you must be wondering, what could possibly force Star Wars into second place? And that is my number 1 movie of the year. My favourite movie of 2015 is Kingsman: Secret Service. I like everything about Kingsman. Everything. There's not one thing in the movie that I don't like. I like the soundtrack, I like the cast, I like the story. I think there's just so many brilliant scenes in there. Not just the church scene, there's also amazing scenes outside of the church scene. Obviously the church scene is amazing, but the entire film is brilliant. And it was hard to figure out the order that I put Kingsman and Star Wars in, but I thought of it this way. When I came out of Star Wars, I thought that was one of my favourite movies of the year. When I came out of Kingsman, I thought that was one of my favourite movies I've ever seen, ever. And that is why Kingsman: The Secret Service is my favourite movie of the year. This year, however, is coming to a close, so let's have a talk about what's coming next year. In terms of TV shows, there'll be Game of Thrones Season 6, which I hope will redeem Season 5. I hope that the creators have got their act together and made a season that was just as good as Seasons 1 through 4. I'm also looking forward to Legends of Tomorrow. In this show, the Flash and Arrow will team up together with a bunch of other DC heroes on a time-travelling, villain-stopping adventure. I love the Flash anyway, and I think this show looks really good, so I thoroughly intend to catch up with both the Flash and Arrow before this show airs, because I'm so far behind. Also, let's stop and think about how many great movies we're getting next year. I said earlier 2015 was the year for nostalgic movies, 2016 is the year of the superhero movie. Just so many. So without further ado, I'm going to count down my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2016. Number 10, Gambit. Number 9, the Assassin's Creed movie. Number 8, Suicide Squad. Number 7, Kung Fu Panda 3. Number 6, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, otherwise known as Dodge. Number 5, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Number 4, Deadpool. Number 3, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. Number 2, Captain America: Civil War. And number 1, X-Men: Apocalypse. So that, ladies and gentlemen, Jedi and Sith Lords, Raptors and T-Rexes, is my take on the film and television of 2015. I personally think it's been a fantastic year in that regard, and I am thoroughly looking forward to 2016. Gonna have no money, but I'm gonna look forward to it. Not only is this the end of this episode, but it's also the end of this series. This is the final episode of Big Screen Small Talk that I will do. From when I started the show in October 2014 to here at the end of 2015, I have thoroughly enjoyed it, but you know the old saying, all mediocre things must come to an end. And so for the final time, thank you for watching the final episode of Big Screen Small Talk. If you liked it, like it. If you want to see more, subscribe. And if you've got an opinion on my opinions, or just things I've been talking about, feel absolutely free to leave it in the comments below. I've been your host, Tom Jordan. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.